Well, here's something that doesn't happen in the value stock pick segment very often. Tracey Ryniec, our value stock strategist, is going to talk about a REIT, and she's going to do that right now. You don't include REITs very often, do you?
No, I don't know. It's not like I have a bias against them or anything. It's just I kind of, leave those for the growth and income people. So I don't pay as much attention to them. But this one is kind of intriguing.
Yeah, Sunstone Hotel Investors.
Yeah, they operate like luxury hotel brands. I didn't realize that, just because you're at a Marriott doesn't mean it's owned by Marriott.
That's right.
It might be owned by people like these guys.
Managed by a management company.
And they have 26 of the luxury hotels, and that would be like the Hilton chains, the Hyatts, the upscale Marriotts. And they've been acquiring some new properties recently, which the analysts are really bullish about because obviously that's where the growth comes from. They just got a Hilton in New Orleans and one of the big hotels in Boston that has over 1,000 rooms. So they're also renovating 4 other hotels right now, so those are kind of not playing as big a role in the growth. But this last quarter they had, the room rate average went up, and they're having close to the peak occupancy in industry-wide in the hotels because it's, come roaring back, and you have both the regular traveler and then you have the business travelers because the global economy is improving. So all these things spell really good news for hotel chains going forward, and because they're going to be able to keep pushing through like price increases. And the luxury side, which is where these guys are focused, is probably where you want to be when all that's happening. So, it's been a good quarter for them. They are not supposed to expect to see that much growth this year. It's really going to be next year when some of these hotel renovations come online. But, analysts like where everything's going with them. Eight estimates have been pushed higher since that last first quarter earnings report. So even though you're not going to see huge earnings growth this year, it's coming down the pike. Interestingly, shares, like everything, every time I'm here, I say the same thing. Near the 52-week high has pulled back a little bit here, so you might get a little bit of buying opportunity. It's trading a little bit above 12 times, so it's not super expensive. One thing I did want to point out, though, is that this company does not pay a dividend. You normally associate REITs with dividend paying. And they don't, but some of the analysts are encouraged by kind of the turnaround and what's going on in the company, and that they may ultimately start paying one, maybe by the end of this year or possibly in 2014. But if you're buying right now, you shouldn't depend on that. But things look good in their cash flow, so it's an interesting story in the hotels right now.
All right, here's another interesting story. Corning, GLW. Now this is the formerly named Corning Glassworks company, I think.
I don't know what I always get them confused.
But I'm
because,
going back a lot of years.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, they do the fiber optics and the cable and all that. That's basically what they were known for forever.
Oh,
and
okay.
then they did have the glass component, which was kind of the poor stepchild, and then they had the Gorilla Glass off of that, which is the kind of glass that's used on the flat panels, on your touch screens, and now that's huge for them. Recently, interestingly, they invited some of the analysts to come to one of their glass factories and kind of take a tour and see what's going on with the glass component of the company, because that's where a lot of the growth could be in the future. And they talked a lot about use of the Gorilla Glass on notebooks. Like you normally associate, the touch screens with the tablets, but notebooks are kind of moving towards the touch screen now too. And it could be possibly a huge extra market for them on top of the smartphones and the tablets that they already have a big niche in. They told the analysts that in 2012 they only sold about $10 million worth of Gorilla Glass on the notebook kind of platform, but that the notebook market is over $1 billion. So if a lot of the notebooks start going over to the touch, you can see what the potential might be there for Corning. But again, we're all talking about like future possibilities. It's not totally happening right now. The company did say that they're seeing interest from the automakers actually in their Gorilla Glass, because they could use it in the for the roof. Where
Sunroof?
Yes, thank you.
Sure, anytime.
Yeah, and it's actually weighs about 2/3 less than normal glass. So the automakers have some interest in it, but that again would not be their big market. But it's nice to see them getting a few other customers possibility in the mix here.
Sure.
So things are interesting for Corning. They did beat this last quarter. They as well aren't supposed to see a lot of growth this year. Maybe about 7% next year. A lot depends on what happens with this Gorilla Glass. But seeing as this is a value play, we're buying it because it's cheap. It's trading a little under 12 times. That's cheap for a company like this that's so involved in the electronics and technology area. And you can see it did get a bump up here after this last earnings report and some of these good things that are coming out about their glass component. But again, it's still cheap, and if you want to play on like the smartphones and the tablets without actually buying the manufacturers of those, but someone who's making the components for it, then Corning is an interesting play.
All right. It's all very interesting to me anyway.
It is.
Do you own either one?
I do not.
Okay. Check out other stock picks and stock picking strategies. You hear me say this often, but they're on our website, Zacks.com, and you can link to them right off the homepage. With Tracey, I'm Terry Ruffalo.